Hello, witches, starseeds, muggles, and anyone who else who likes metaphysical stuff. My name is Kaylina, and this is the Fox's Hideaway, and welcome to the new year. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the new year. I have not been good about posting recently, and that is due to the fact my whole life has been like going through a giant transition right now, and obviously transitions are a good thing. But when you're in the middle of them, they can feel like your whole life is just like completely out of control. And as a Virgo, I absolutely hate that. And that is exactly what we've been going through. We have moved, so we are officially in a different apartment, which I'm really enjoying. I'm actually like on the plaza and in Kansas City, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And changing up my job a little bit as well. Have had some massive financial issues between some car stuff and some vet bills. Dorian's fine. But yeah, and then also made the decision to rehome my ferrets, just due to the fact that I'm very allergic to them, and I just felt like they were not being given the love and care that they deserved or the time to roam about. And so I just felt like, I don't know, it's just been nagging at me for a little bit to potentially find somebody who could give them a better life, and I feel like I found that. And so they will have a full room like they've had with me to themselves, as well as free roam time when their owners are home and available to let them out. So hard decision, not an easy one, but the right one, I feel like, in the long run. So things have just been a little bit crazy, and then I also got super sick for a few days, and so yeah, everything that could possibly be kind of turned on its head or going wrong has been going wrong. So, but usually that means that we had to clear out a bunch of stuff, and then we hopefully will be on the right path now. So I will be trying not to cough through the entire video. But I hope all of you have been having a good first of the year. A lot of people I've been talking to, it just seems like have been having a really rough go of it. So I don't know if it's just the energies in the air that things are just clearing out and making way for something new and better. But a lot of people I've been talking to have just had a rough start to the new year. So if that is you, I am very sorry, and I am holding space for you and sending you good energy, because I understand what you're going through. And that's why I've just not been posting at all, because we just had to figure out some life shit. But hopefully now things are calming down, and we're gonna have a strong year. I'm determined. If you're turning 29 to 30, maybe even 28, this could be your Saturn return. In astrology, that means that these are the years that you take up your call for what you are meant to do. And so that can also be a little bit tough, though, because it involves clearing out the things that aren't meant for you. And so that could mean a lot of transformation. So don't get discouraged if things just aren't going perfectly right now. Saturn can be a bit of a difficult planet to work with, but ultimately Saturn always has your best interest at heart. So anything that is clearing out of your life right now, there's a reason for that. And hopefully you can pick up your call for what you are meant to do, and moving forward, things will be really positive. At least that's what I'm hoping for myself. We're gonna try to be a lot more disciplined this year, as in regards to several topics within my life, as far as just health and financials and just motivation to do what I'm passionate about, and hopefully be setting a course to something very positive and successful. So if that is you right now, we're in the same boat. We will get through it together. If you ever need to just rant and vent, I am here for whatever it's worth. So, but today we're talking about Capricorn. as far as astrology goes. As always, this first part will be about the body astrology, different foods and exercises and different conditions that Capricorns might run into. And then the second half will just be an overall makeup of what Capricorn is. So let's get started. Okay, and we're really gonna try to be a little bit more aware of the camera in this video, because this last one in Sagittarius, I'm so sorry. I don't know what was going on with the focus, but that was super annoying to watch for me, so I cannot even imagine what it was like for you guys. Hopefully most of the time you guys just put me on in the background while you're doing chores or, you know, doing whatever, and just do it podcast style, because I don't know what has been up with the focusing. I don't know if it's, I've looked at my camera several times. Every time I do a video, I look at the camera settings and everything seems to be fine. And then throughout the video, it just like unfocuses and gets really blurry just randomly. I believe a lot of it had to do with the amount of spiritual activity that was in my last place that just generally was not friendly. And here I have not really felt anything yet. So knock on wood, hopefully our camera won't malfunction quite as bad in this video. So let's get started. As I said, Capricorn, as far as body astrology, Capricorns are going to be very much so like the shaping and framework and creating like those boundaries within the body. So without them, our body would just kind of be flimsy and falling apart. It's ruled by Saturn, so it's that very strict, kind of disciplined planet, and I feel like Capricorns generally are very much like that. They're very disciplined, they're very motivated to do what they want to do in life. So this automatically means that they're a little bit obsessed with just steadiness and righteousness and integrity. It creates kind of the bones and, like I said, the framework of things. So with that being said, Capricorn kind of creates a very safe place to encourage your visions and your dreams and harness your ideas. It's very much all about structure, and that is very much what Capricorn is all about. So Capricorn rules over your bones. It's gonna rule over your skin as well, connective tissues, joints, ligaments, and tendons, teeth, nails, and cuticles, hamstrings, and your gallbladder, as well as your anterior pituitary gland. And I am not going to go into like all the details of where all those body parts are. If you're interested, go ahead and Google that yourself. So in the nutrition realm, the gesture for Capricorn is all about substance. And so think of all like the comfort foods that you eat during the winter time, like grandma's soup recipe that she's passed down for generations and generations, or that really warm, crunchy bread with butter on it, and just all the comfort foods of winter. That is very much what Capricorn kind of stands for. So it's also going to be maybe more of a naturally meat-driven sign. Obviously, everybody is different, so that's not to say that just because you're a Capricorn doesn't mean you're, you know, a carnivore, but it tends to be a little more heavy on the meat side. That's not to say that you might not be a Capricorn and be a vegetarian. Everyone is different, but as a whole, it seems to be a little bit more meat heavy. So they also thrive on like warm foods such as like the squashes and the root vegetables and dark leafy greens. So anything that kind of sustains and nourishes your belly and your bones, that is going to be Capricorn all the way. They also are the sign that needs a little bit more like nutritional like value as far as like foundational nutrients. So if malnourished, instead of Saturn building you up in the right direction, Saturn is going to start building up barriers instead. So eating nutrient like dense foods that give adequate amounts of vitamins and minerals is really important for Capricorn, as well as proper amount of vitamin C as well. Dorian is saying hello. Boop. Yup. Okay. There we go. He's been my buddy. He just finished eating. All right, so also a tip to maybe add some nutrition, bone broth, or anything that has like collagen peptides in it, as well as like protein powder is also going to be really good for Capricorns as well. So eating both good foods to help your bones as well as foods that help your skin is going to be important for Capricorn as well. Both are very, very important. So things like dark green vegetables, egg yolk, maybe some, fish, mineral-rich vegetables, and nuts may help. So don't underestimate the power of vitamin C. That's also can play an important part for Capricorns as well. It helps with that collagen formation and antioxidant protection. Do your best to avoid free radicals. Obviously, in the world we live in today, there is a lot of that just is unfortunately in a lot of our stuff. But if you can try to avoid it, do your best. So Capricorn does delight in like sweetness from time to time. However, too much sweetness can affect their skin, as well as their joints and their gut. So high quality dairy is kind of a must for them because their partner sign of Cancer can maybe trip that lactose intolerance from time to time. So just focusing on organic, local if possible, full fat dairy is going to be a better option for you guys. Maybe also try like goat or sheep cheese as well if you're, into trying different things. So Capricorn can run into troubles in regards to their gallbladder or fat malabsorption issues. So taking bitters like 15 minutes before you eat or taking like digestive enzymes could really help with that. I've mentioned in other videos I have to take enzymes when I eat because my pancreas does not do its job, and so we run into some of the same kind of problems. Bitters, I've heard, can be so helpful, but if you're super sensitive to like textures and stuff, they can be really hard to sustain long term. But if you can and it helps, try it out. Capricorn is one of the coldest signs of the zodiac, which makes sense along with Aquarius because they literally are dead set in the 2 coldest months of the year. But for a proper digestion, you kind of need more heat to be able to digest your food. So they can kind of run into some issues there. So maybe potentially drinking some warm water throughout the day and also trying to avoid drinking too much in the middle of meals, which I know for some people that sounds really weird, and it does pop up in a lot of like medical things that I read and nutritional stuff, that it's actually not super good for you to be drinking a whole bunch while you're eating because it prevents your digestive muscles from doing their proper thing. So try it. I know that's maybe not reasonable to ask of everybody because a lot of us are just so used to eating and drinking simultaneously. So also for Capricorn, because Capricorns, bless their little hearts, they are the workaholics of the zodiac sign. Try to separate your meals from your work. You need to have separate times when you're doing that. That way your body can concentrate on the digestion and what it's supposed to do and not be distracted with 5 billion other things and work projects. So Capricorn within movement. Their gesture is going to be longevity. With exercise, Capricorn needs to feel successful 100% of the time. So therefore, all their exercises need to be cut down into reasonable chunks because otherwise they get discouraged. Nutrition and recovery are just as important as the actual exercise itself. So they need to be very well-rounded within all parts, start to finish, of their exercise regimen. Pay specific attention to the knees as well as the other structures around it, keeping it very strong. Knees in general are just kind of weak when it comes to the human body. You would think that we would be more evolved as humans, being on, two legs versus all fours, but if you really look at our makeup, it almost makes more sense if we were four-legged versus two, because our knee structure is just not super strong to begin with. Which explains why a lot of people end up having knee problems as they get older. I myself have already had knee surgery years ago, so that is something that Capricorns might run into. Also, develop the back of the body as well, focusing on your hamstrings to protect from any imbalance and or injury. So you can also use maybe high repetition to improve muscular endurance, even though it's funny because later in the book it mentions not doing too much repetition. So there's a fine line. And obviously I am not a trainer. I am not somebody who has done enormous amounts of study in this. So if you want to really get hardcore into some of this, find somebody that knows way more than me. This is just an overall kind of video on things. Now, astrology as a whole, I really love studying astrology. I'm by no means an expert still, but as far as tying it in with nutrition and exercise, find somebody that is definitely more advanced than me. This is just an introduction. Just want to make that clear. And as always, when it comes to your health, talk to your doctor or somebody who's gone to years and years and years of schooling, if you have any really in-depth questions. Just gotta say that. Okay, increase time under tension by using movement tempos or time prescriptions. Their climbing energy can also be utilized by doing step ups, step downs, crawling even, and carrying weight over a certain distance. You can also do moving from a deficit or working from an incline or a decline. Anything in regards to running, you're looking kind of at more middle to long distance running. But out of all the earth signs, they definitely have the most joint and knee issues. So just be aware of that. To keep from aging prematurely, incorporate weight-bearing exercises and plenty of water sign movements. And in yoga, it's very much about posture and long holds and just really focusing on keeping alignment throughout your positions, as well as looking at spine and joint health. So other sports that Capricorns may enjoy doing is alpine skiing, backpacking, bouldering, goat yoga, because who doesn't want to do yoga with a goat? Hiking, trekking, and mountaineering, ice climbing, mountain biking, obstacle races, rock climbing, and ultra endurance things. So ultimate biking, running, swimming, and walking. And she also says anything involving water, since alright, so Capricorn conditions. So within Capricorn, imbalance usually happens when there's a physical or emotional structures become too hard or too flimsy within their workings. It can also happen when things are when control is either overbearing or if it's completely absent. It can also happen when there are not good boundaries being set in place. Bone fractures and dislocations can be common, chronic muscle or joint pain or stiffness, so this can include arthritis or fibromyalgia. Depression, just a general feeling of just being cold all the time, which I mean, in the winter, who isn't feeling that way? I literally, right now, it was like 7 degrees outside, and I have like a big sweater on and a big like sweater over the top because I've just been like absolutely freezing all freaking day. I hate this time of year. Capricorns, I think you guys are awesome, but oh my god, I hate January and I hate February. Like, they are just the absolute worst months of the entire year. And I know I complain like a crap ton during this time of year, but it's so true. Every time I step outside, I just want to go right back in, get back into my pajamas and curl up and sleep. Not a good time. It's really hard for me to be motivated this time of year, but I'm trying really hard. But yeah, fertility challenges also Capricorns can run into. Like I said, gallstones, gallbladder issues, inflammation, reduced bile, which bile is really important for digestion, and other like gallbladder imbalances. And if you suspect that there's something wrong with your gallbladder, definitely go get that checked out, because that is not something you want to mess around with. Capricorns can also experience hearing loss or hypothalamic, pituitary, and adrenal axis dysfunction, which adrenal stuff can definitely mess up just your overall system and make you feel really off. So they can also face nutrient deficiencies and malabsorption, osteopenia, and osteoporosis, which osteoporosis you definitely want to be careful about. You definitely want to try to take care of your body, especially as you start to age a little bit, because osteoporosis, especially in women, is actually the #1 reason women die. A lot of people think it's like breast cancer. No, osteoporosis, it will get you, and it's not good. So definitely be on top of that as you start to age a little bit more. There are screenings that you can do to kind of monitor that and stay on top of that, especially if you are somebody who tends to be a little more prone, or you have it in your family. Like, please stay on top of osteoporosis, because it can be really scary. Scoliosis, skin conditions of all kinds, so especially if they have certain food sensitivities, they could definitely show up as acne, dryness, eczema, psoriasis, rash, and just general inflammation and sensitivity. Many food and movement issues stem from a fear of not being, not doing, and not having enough, or a fear of just being wrong or being bad in some way. Like, Capricorns put a lot of pressure on themselves. In fact, they probably put the most amount of pressure on themselves out of all the zodiacs. Honestly, all the earth signs kind of do, because Virgos are absolute perfectionists, and we expect perfection all the time from ourselves and others, and Taurus can tend to be that way too. So that's just maybe an earth sign thing, but Capricorns are just very motivated, very driven to have success. Most of the time, they achieve it. If you're working outrageous work hours, which Capricorns do quite often, and you have a never-ending to-do list, you need to take a pause and you need to take a step back. That means you are doing just way too much, and you are going to get burnout. Capricorns are the furthest thing from being lazy. However, when they do start getting super overwhelmed, they can kind of avoid doing certain things that just maybe they don't want to do because they're just too overworked. So some tend to view food as just like a flat out waste of money, and oftentimes they will work through lunch or even skip meals. Do not do that. Your body does not like that. Capricorn can get into ruts, like where they will eat and or do the same exercise for days, months, or even years at a time. And that's also not super great either. If you experience anything like malnourishment, overwhelm, joint pain, skin changes, feeling cold, a flip-flop of constipation and diarrhea, and are putting it means you're putting too much load on yourself and that you really need to kind of step back and reevaluate. This can also lead to depression and listlessness and feelings of just purposelessness, which are never fun to deal with. So other planets within Capricorn, so Mercury has a lot of digestive issues that can happen here, especially when they are caused from high levels of stress. So things like I said, stress, eating on the go, eating at your work desk, not giving yourself enough time, not enough work-life balance. Here you just tend to be very over-ambitious with your pacing, and you tend to just overdo everything. Joint pain is very common here, usually due to an aggravated or sometimes even an impinged nerve. So Venus, here your skin is going to have kind of this oily situation that can happen, and it usually has some kind of hormonal root attached to it. And I've found that a lot of the times Venus ends up being kind of hormonal in nature, it seems like. They may need a bit more higher consumption of healthy fat here, trouble releasing waste product through your skin. So you might have to help your body out with that a little more through self-care and exfoliation and even exercise. When you sweat, you're getting things out of your skin. And so that's really good. Venus also kind of softens Cap here. So it makes your bone nutrition and weight-bearing exercise a must to stay healthy. Joint pain is most likely due to weak supporting structures, so increase muscular strength here, and that'll help. So Mars, food reactivity shows up as like a rash, dryness, flakiness, itchiness, anything that's red and inflamed. It needs to manage stress here around eating, and do not avoid meals or work through them. High stress can cause gallbladder inflammation, and you may need more protein here as well. Joint injury and inflammation can also be prone in this area, and steer clear of like repetitive motion in this placement. So in Jupiter, your liver can maybe be more prone to gallbladder, like gallstones or fatty deposits. Digestive issues express themselves through the skin as oiliness, kind of like in Venus, and you may need help doing some of those same self-care routines as Venus. Here, fitness needs to have a bit of like element of fun to it, and maybe not be so serious. So Saturn, here digestion might be a little bit weaker. It can also be prone to like food ruts and restriction and nutrient deficiencies as well. Food sensitivities or intolerance can stem from restrictive mindset or a sleepy gallbladder in some cases, and or poor fat digestion. So once again, those enzymes might help. Enzymes really do help because they contain like prolase. Where are the other two? There's two other ones too, like lipase and amylase. And so each one of those helps with breaking down certain food elements. So they really do help. But get good quality ones. Definitely go through your doctor to get them, because a lot of the ones on the market claim to help with things, and I've tried several different brands and they are not all the same. So I would definitely, in that case, go through your doctor or a nutritionalist or like a natural health person who can prescribe you one that will actually do its job, because otherwise it doesn't do anything and you feel just as crappy as before. So do not recommend. Yeah, so this can also in this placement cause some arthritic pain, lusterless skin and hair, or some brittle nails. Bone nutrition and weight-bearing exercise are crucial to long-term health, and has the potential to be strong and very resilient in this placement. So Uranus, this planet seems to just mess things up no matter where, what sign it's in. It can cause some rather extreme stress here, and it's going to cause some digestive stress, such as gallbladder attacks, stomach spasms, alternating constipation and diarrhea, skin reactions to food, or vomiting. It can affect Capricorn's partner Cancer as well, and it can affect even like your uterus. Prone to accidents and breaks here. And then finally in this first part, Neptune can weaken any body boundaries, making them porous and a little bit leaky. So you might get skin sensitivity, leaky gut can happen here, or even emotional enmeshment. Gallbladder can cause digestive issues. Supplement with bone and joint building vitamins and minerals. So things such as vitamin D, calcium, and magnesium. Now, obviously, of course, as always, if you're starting a new vitamin, mineral, whatever it may be, medication, always consult your doctor first, just to make sure that it is safe and that there isn't anything that might be a contraindication for you to take said whatever. Okay, so that's the end of the first part. I will be pausing to come back for the second part, where we just talk about Capricorns as a whole. See you in a minute. Okay, part 2 of Capricorn. So we're just going to talk about what Capricorn traits generally are. So, as a whole, their most likable trait is their steadiness. They instantly seem to just have a purpose to like pursue their destiny. Like they just have a very big drive to pursue what it is they're meant to do in life. Motivating force is anything from success to money to status. They also want to find love, although they don't always like show that up front. And they are willing to chase a higher position and higher authority throughout their life. So they have an instant like setup and knack for leadership, as well as just power in general. They are linked to just high achievement, and you have a very like heightened awareness of time, and that time is money. You make a super organizer and planner. This comes just kind of naturally to you. You have a lot of patience, and you know how to wait for what you want, which is so opposite from Virgos who want everything this very instant. I wish I could take more of your Capricorn like patience. That would be so nice. So you're not usually ones to like take the temptation of today, but you're much rather work to tomorrow's reward. Your energy is generally one of like melancholy and like sternness. You're ruled by Saturn, so you naturally have like this responsibility and this discipline about you, as well as you tend to kind of restrict yourself at times as well. You are always looking to improve and perfect yourself. You are ambitious and practical and a very determined personality. You have an active mind that can easily grasp ideas, and you have an ability to concentrate and be very precise and orderly. You do things yourself as you don't trust others to do them for you. Like that is just one thing you will not find a Capricorn doing, is giving out responsibilities. They will just try and do everything themselves because naturally nobody else can do it better than them. And any task that you do take on, you always do it to the very best of your ability. You fuss over the details, which is usually why you're successful, because you cross every T and dot every I and leave no detail left unturned. Your diligence sometimes leads people to think that you aren't creative, but you actually do have a lot of creativity within you. And other people can also kind of find you cold at times, but you are just really self-sufficient and you're just very determined to succeed, and you very goal-oriented, which is not a bad trait to have. You can take a bit of a stronghold on others at times just because you naturally think that your way is always the right way. And so sometimes you will try to influence others into agreeing with your opinions. Underneath you, there is a very sympathetic and sensitive person, but it just takes a really long time for people to see the real you because you do not show your emotion naturally to people, and they really have to get to know you before you kind of let those barriers and guards down. But if you need a shoulder to kind of lean on, Capricorn will be there for you. They're very loyal and dedicated friends. Some think you kind of sober and maybe at times even a bit gloomy, but you actually have quite the sense of humor. It might be a little bit dry at times, but you definitely have wit to you that not everybody gets to see. And you will be that person that tends to just say incredibly funny things at the most random of times. You tend to be very cautious and conservative with money, which is why you generally get success in your life because you know how to make good investments for yourself. You tend to see things as black and white. You are not overly comfortable in gray areas. It's a little bit too unstable for you, so you tend to see things very logically as black or white and kind of nowhere in between. So that can also make you a little bit closed-minded and critical at times when you're not at your most evolved self. You crave security. That is a big thing for you. You have to have security, and you are materialistic in nature. You are a wee bit prideful, so that means that if anybody has wronged you, odds are you are not going to forgive them ever. You do tend to keep grudges. Your sign tends to marry for money and prestige versus love, and you tend to need to dominate in your relationships. You are a bit of a loner of the zodiac signs, but you also have a very much a need to be loved and appreciated as well. You are the sign of wearing many masks, so once somebody thinks they kind of get to know you, they're just going to find another mask and another mask and another mask, and it takes a really long time to get past those masks to see who you truly are. You can come across as aloof and a bit indifferent at times, but that's just because you are so self-contained and you just really restrain yourself at times. You are extremely loyal though, and you will always protect the ones that you love and care about. You will never leave even when things get really tough. You have this need to connect on a deeper level. You're not superficial, and this especially comes to your relationships. You're not just going to be the person that does small talk. You want to get into the deepness and the soul of another human being versus just, how's the weather today or something like that. You can also feel a bit insecure at times within your own self. And you can also be a bit of a bundle of conflicting emotions. Chaos drives you a little bit crazy. So within Capricorn women and in the love area of life, she doesn't always show it, but this woman cares a great deal about love. And I feel like that's kind of Capricorn in general. They have a hard time showing their really deep emotions, even though that they're there. As far as Capricorn women goes, she's a great romantic, but on the surface, she's not always going to show that because she just kind of comes across as private and restrained and even sometimes a little bit aloof. And you can also get that within Aquariuses too. She is discriminating in her love life, so she is the least likely to fall in love at first sight. And if she does find somebody a little bit interesting, she's going to admire you from a distance to see if you're even worth her time and energy. And if you're not, she's going to want you out of her way. She is not one to waste her time with silly flirtations. And like all earth signs, she is very deeply rooted in her sensual side, but that only comes out when she feels very safe with whoever she is with. And that's very much a Virgo thing too, and I feel like a Taurus thing, the two other earth signs, is that, yeah, we have maybe a sensual, at times maybe even a little bit freaky side, but we really have to have the right partner to draw that out of us. Otherwise, not a chance. We have to feel very safe and secure, and that is the same with Capricorn women. Happiness and love is very crucial for her, and she needs someone who will cherish her and will really understand who she is. But at the same time, she needs somebody who isn't going to rob her of her self-sufficiency or try to force her to let go of control, especially when it comes to her life and her goals that she sets for herself. She's a very self-disciplined person, clear-minded, and a very much common sense approach. A lady with class, for sure. Intensely feminine with a reserve of inner strength. And she's not easy to win. So if you're just in it to, have a fling or whatever, or if you're not willing to put in effort, Capricorn women is not going to be for you, because she expects you to put in effort. She wants to be pursued and wooed a little bit, and she expects you to put her in that romantic mindset. On dates, she will try to dictate the terms and conditions of it, and sometimes go for people that are a little bit younger than her, just because that gives her a little bit more of a dominating position. Capricorn women are not always lucky in love. Much like their Virgo counterparts, they can sometimes be a little bit of perfectionists, and they are going to expect you to be the best that you can be. But when they do find relationships, they are incredibly loyal, they are very dependable, good with money, and they just are canny about people. They just understand people. And her passion runs very, very deep. So Capricorn men. He's going to be very frank and kind of earthy, which naturally draws some women to them. Physical desire is a necessary part of love. They are very physical beings. Emotionally, relationships aren't always very easy for them, just because they tend to be a little bit more of loners if the choice is theirs. And he's got trust issues. He cannot put his full hope that people are going to be able to handle the responsibility that he gives them. He has a very cool exterior, very self-assured. He needs his partner to show how much they care and cherish him and admire him. He tends to be private and a little bit secretive, but he's a very faithful lover. Like, he's not going to be one to cheat. He's not going to have wandering eyes for another woman. When he finds this person, he's going to be very dedicated and loyal to them. He's romantic, but the best decision for his future is always going to win out. So like I said before, they're going to maybe choose a person that raises their status or helps them be successful in their business versus someone that they might be truly in love with, unfortunately. Either they will marry young in life or they will marry a little bit later in life. And they tend to be a little bit happier when they marry later in life, because once they're established in their business and there's not so much stress and pressure to be successful, then they can start having attention on other aspects of their life. He's not the most imaginative, but he is rather lusty and he can be rather skillful. They prefer a sensual and comfortable place to get it on, so they're not going to be going at it in the bar closet. They're going to prefer a nice bed with moonlight, candlelight, and champagne by the bedside. Like, it's a sensual experience, and there's no way you're going to find them doing it on a pool table, like, or in the back of a car. Like, that's just not their style. He may not be one to like get you flowers or like write you love notes, but he will definitely go all out on very special occasions. Like if you're celebrating a significant anniversary, he's going to go all out and possibly whisk you away to some vacation with just the two of you. So big events, he's going to be all in, but from the day-to-day little small things, he might fall a little bit short there. So in general, how to attract a Capricorn: don't be afraid to engage in conversation with them. They enjoy having deep conversations with people. They want to get to know you on a deeper level. Also have a good sense of humor, as they are kind of very stern with themselves. They like people that will give them the chance to loosen up at least a little bit. They also are very much into art and music and theater, so anything like that would be a very good date to go on. They also love people that are intellectually stimulating. They don't care for the unconventional, and they enjoy practical gifts. They also are ones that, if you do buy them a gift, they understand the value of money. So don't just buy them something randomly and just splurge randomly. There's got to be kind of a rhyme or reason, because they can be a little bit of a stickler when it comes to money. Like they understand the value of the dollar. They really enjoy books, so that's always a good, potential gift idea, just because they always love to be learning something new, and especially if it's, involving investments or like a self-help book or something that helps them become more successful in life. And last but not least, always be on time with a Capricorn. Time is money, and if you're late, then you are wasting their time, and they are not going to thank you for that. So next, moon sign. So if you have your moon sign in Capricorn, their good side, you're going to be very determined and responsible, very disciplined here, as well as patient and committed. Maybe your little bit darker side are not the best traits. You might be a little bit rigid, pessimistic at times, opinionated, materialistic, and over exacting, which I don't think opinionated is like a bad trait, but it's on there. He has a very stabilizing and restrictive effect on the moon. This placement does. People here have to overcome their own obstacles that they kind of put in their own way and complexities to find the happiness that they are always constantly seeking. And that is something with Capricorns I find. They are just so driven that even when they reach like peak success, they're never satisfied. Like there's always like something more that they could be reaching for, or something more that they could be doing even better, or more success that they could reach. So it's important for them to acknowledge their accomplishments and to really take pride in those, and not always just be looking for the next best thing, because they do have a tendency to sometimes do that at times. They have a very alert mind, and they're very eager to learn, organized and ambitious. They're very, very hard workers. They're self-sufficient, and they tend to be a little bit more solitary as in general. And they're always haunted by the tasks that they feel like they have to fulfill in life. Your single-mindedness can turn into obsession at times, and usually make an imprint on the world. They are usually very successful, and they are probably the most likely to leave behind some kind of legacy, I would say. You do suffer from insecurity and loneliness at times, just because you can get so obsessed with your career and where you're headed in life that sometimes you cut out the people that are closest to you. You conceal your insecurity with that dry sense of humor, though. You usually come across very calm and collected most of the time, except for the people that really, really do know you. You don't reveal your deepest feelings, coming across a little bit cold and calculating at times, and you can never put your full trust in somebody else. Like, you just have a really hard time with that. You are loyal, steadfast, generous, and very giving. So next, if you have Capricorn as your ascendant or your rising sign, here you're going to have a very serious mind. You're not frivolous at all. You're very responsible with money, reluctant to commit until you know kind of the deal. You kind of know the score and what's going on. With strangers, you are quiet, reserved, and can actually come across a little bit shy. And I feel like Virgos are also kind of the same way. But once you get to know us, we are actually very warm and friendly and inviting, and we enjoy having fun. And we can have quite the personalities. Capricorn has that dry wit. Virgos have kind of that sarcasm. But we're very friendly, warm, and expressive. And that is very much Capricorns once you get past all their barriers. They have very strong personalities and possess a lot of willpower and determination. They diligently pursue their goals, like to no end. They will pursue their goals. Like failure is not an option for them. Goals revolve around just a better life, more money, better status, a higher standing for their family and their community. You have self-esteem and reliable. You're very dependable in this placement, and you're also extremely stable. You have a very active mind and kind of a quick intelligence about you here, and a extreme ability to concentrate on your goals. You fuss over details once again. You worry about everything, even throughout different times in your life. From when you're young, you worry about one thing, to when you're middle-aged, you worry about something else. And then when you're older, you worry about, dying. So there's always kind of that worrying aspect to a Capricorn. It isn't always easy for them to show their feelings to people, though powerful feelings do exist within them. You love very deeply, and you are loyal and very protective, and you go out of your way to do kind things for others. In this position, you can also be kind of drawn to like a jealousy and resentment at times, but you will never show it. It'll always be hidden, but it can sometimes pop up from time to time. Down deep, you never forgive someone who has wronged you. Benefit financially through marriage, your own hard work as well. Small, well-shaped head, deep penetrating eyes, and a beautiful smile with good teeth make up a Capricorn ascendant. You have strong feet and really enjoy walking or jogging. You have discipline, ambition, patience, determination, good endurance and thrift. And some of your darker traits are you can be extremely stubborn, you kind of have a hardship, melancholy, aloofness to you, pessimism, and selfishness. So other planets within Capricorn. So you have Mercury in this placement. You're going to be have a big ambition drive, methodical. You're going to be very careful here, calculating and patient, good at handling details, and you never lose sight of the bigger, grander picture. You're very rational in this placement as well. You can have a disapproving air about the frivolities of others. How people, might spend their money, or how they might be frivolous in their lifestyle. You might have a bit of a frown upon that. Venus, you're going to be very careful and cautious here, cold and calculating. When in love, you are loyal, faithful, and dependable. What you say, you mean. You have a very earthy passion to you, but keep them separate from your mental attitude. You can be sexually involved and detached, both at the same time. You can experience jealousy and possessiveness here as well, and a fear of rejection is definitely can reside here as well. Once wronged, all you will get is complete and utter coldness from Capricorn. Mars. They can be a bit forceful, energy kept under control to be used when necessary. They're very fierce and magnetic in this placement. They can be a bit commanding, self-control, marks your relationships. Even though you are passionate, you can be both hot-blooded and sexy, even romantic at times in this placement, but then you can literally be at other times extremely chilly and disinterested. And sometimes here you can have a secret love affair with somebody that's a little bit older than you. Jupiter, you gain a high position in life through hard work and a fierce willpower. Good in enterprises that involve things like mining and construction, land development, real estate, like oil, good instinct for business, anything that involves working with the earth. In this position, you handle finances really well, but you're also very conservative with them as well. And luckiest times of the year is when that sun sign is in your earth signs of Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. So Saturn always puts some obstacles in the way, and that is no different here. But you learn very early in life how to be extremely self-sufficient. You have an instinct for doing things the hard way, and you do not listen to others for the life of you. You do not care to hear anybody else's advice. You just go for it how you think it needs to be done. You learn from just experiencing life yourself. You gain authority later in life because when you're younger, you might be a little bit more shy and reserved and less confident, but then later you gain that authority. You often have disappointment in love here, aches in the joints and knees. So Uranus, which is where I have my Capricorn placement, you have a strong inner will to succeed, unexpected shifts in careers or working conditions. You can spot future trends and move into more like lucrative directions. Always a fighting spirit, which, yeah, when life gets you down, you just kind of keep getting back up, which I guess is a good trait to have, even though sometimes it's very exhausting. And you have a very lively, satirical wit. You need to be in authority. You don't often do well working underneath people. You usually do much better if you have your own business, your own thing that you get to do, especially if it's, you know, something creative and something that you have a real passion for. You're very thoughtful and forceful here as well, and you're able to organize people. You can be tyrannical and domineering at times, which, gosh, that's not a good mix with my like perfectionist Virgo traits as well. Neptune, which I also have my Neptune in Capricorn as well. You make use of inspiration from other generations, specifically in like the science and chemistry areas, as well as medicine. Creative insight into the earth, water, timber, and natural resources like oil and minerals. We can find ways to conserve and replenish the gifts of the earth, which I feel like we desperately need to do because Earth is not happy and Mother Nature is not happy right now. If you've seen any of the news going on right now with all the fires in California and just the utter chaos that seems to be happening around the world, I feel like Mother Nature has put her foot down and she is tired of all this right now, which I can't blame her. We have not treated her very nicely over the many centuries. So eventually it's going to balance itself out. And I feel like we're seeing some of the intenseness of our consequences. Even though obviously I definitely wish everybody well and hope that we can get this back into balance, and the people that have lost their homes, and you know, it's a mess. It's definitely a mess, and it's very tragic, and yeah, that's intense. But yeah, Mother Nature needs some help. We need to help our earth out. Okay, lastly, Pluto stresses responsibility and work ethic. Sign of government and long-term security usually happens here, and there tends to be the trend of like a new world order, and a new world order of everybody kind of falling into one category and there being more stability and security, which could be a good or bad thing depending on how that goes down. There's also the great hope to end kind of all war, which wouldn't that be amazing one of these days. So that is all there is for that. The last thing I'm going to read is out of Saturn, like if you have out of the different houses, like where your Saturn placement is. Sorry, we're still coughing despite it being like over a week of being sick. It's annoying. Annoying. Have you ever tried to give a massage while not trying to cough? Like that is like the hardest thing to do ever. And then your client just looks at you like you're pestilence and like you've literally unleashed the gates of the Great Plague onto them. And yeah, I don't blame them because it's disgusting. But yeah, coughing, try not to cough during a massage. That is not an easy thing to do. Oh my gosh. Been struggling immensely. Okay, so anyway, first house, which is your house of self. You've got Saturn. So obviously Saturn is the planet of discipline and limitation. So here you are persistent, you have organizing ability, and are capable of self-discipline. You're patient and a bit shy. You feel nervous underneath, which you keep under tight self-control, and you want your talents and work to be recognized. Good points, you're industrious, you have good powers of endurance, a keen sense of responsibility here. Bad points, you can be very stubborn and set in ways, afraid of new beginnings, and a bit secretive. Second house, which is your house of possessions. Your Saturn here, you are ambitious about acquiring material comfort and tend to make long-range financial plans. You are thrifty and shrewd, cautious about your investments. Your blue chip stocks are more your style than get-rich-quick schemes. Money doesn't come in quickly, gain is slow and steady, and you must put in considerable effort. Your good points here are going to be that you're very practical, you're very persevering, hardworking. Bad points, you can be a little stingy here, and many encounter delays and obstacles in acquiring money, which nobody ever wants to hear. Third house is your house of communication. So here your Saturn is going to be, you have a practical and rather serious mind. You want to learn things so you can put them to good use. You have very good powers of observation and prefer to deal in facts rather than theories. And that's Capricorns in general. You tend to work in fact. You don't like to hear other people's theories. You sometimes procrastinate because you wait to make the right decision. You may encounter difficulties or obstacles in getting like an education. Good points, contemplative, persevering, and consciousness. And bad points, prone to pessimism, estrangement from relatives. Fourth house is house of home, also of early and latter parts of your life. So here, Saturn, you are concerned about and devoted to your family. In childhood, you have assumed responsibility at a very early age. Saturn in the fourth house sometimes indicates an early loss of a potential father figure. You will look after those who cared for you as a child when they are old. You plan carefully for security in your old age and are likely to spend your last years alone and independent. Good points, gain through real estate. Bad points, difficulty expressing feelings to family members. Fifth house is house of creativity and sex. So your Saturn here, because you're disciplined and take life seriously, you often don't allow yourself to relax and have fun. You have strong feelings about those you love, but you also need their respect. You may be stern with children. Your periods of unhappiness have taught you lessons in life. Good points, conscious of duty and responsibility to loved ones. Bad points, fear of giving too much of yourself within your loving relationships. Sixth house, house of service and of health. So Saturn here, you are a conscious and reliable worker and handle responsibility very well. You're exacting in your demands on yourself. Health may be under strain due to overwork or because you tend to neglect looking after yourself, which is definitely a Capricorn trait. Your good point, you're admired by colleagues and associates. Your bad point, you can't accept that there are limitations and obstacles beyond your control. 7th house, house of marriage and of your partnerships. So here, Saturn, you are cautious about marriage and partnerships and may delay getting involved until you are sure of it. You often marry a widow or widower or someone older than yourself. If there are no opposing influences in your chart, you benefit momentarily or socially through marriage. Good point, you take commitment to another person very seriously. Bad point, possible legal problems and setbacks because of them. 8th house, house of death and regeneration, and also of your legacies. Saturn, you take responsibility for others and may become involved in their financial affairs. For others, you are inclined to be somewhat inhibited sexually or to have difficulty expressing yourself emotionally within sex. Saturn in the 8th house usually indicates that you will live until ripe old age. Good points, you are careful about putting aside money to protect your loved ones. Your bad point could be difficulties over property matters or inheritance. 9th house, house of mental exploration. Saturn here, you are thoughtful and contemplative and have a desire to learn. You delve seriously into questions of philosophy, faith, or religion. Contacts with foreigners are beneficial in your life, especially with older people. Good points, idealistic principles. Bad point, obstacles or limitations to receiving an education. Your 10th house is your house of career. So here, Saturn, you are self-reliant, ambitious, and likely to achieve different successes. You have the stamina and perseverance to attain your ambitions step by step. There is a possibility that you will reach high position toward the end of your life, but that will be kind of a lonely place. Good point, self-disciplined and responsible. Bad point, selfish, susceptible to discredit or disgrace. Your 11th house, house of hopes and wishes, and also of your friends. So Saturn here, you form a few true and lasting friendships rather than cultivating many superficial acquaintances. You have high aspirations, but must often cope with mundane delays and obstacles. The discipline you learn early in life brings freedom later on. Your good points are determination to reach objectives. Bad point, victimized by unscrupulous or selfish motives on the part of others. And 12th house, your last house, is your house of secrets, sorrows, and self-undoing. So in this house, Saturn, you are reserved, somewhat solitary or reclusive. You place limitations on yourself because of cautiousness or fear. You find it hard to share your feelings with others and may carry a secret sorrow with you. Your good points are going to be successful when working alone and in seclusion. Your bad points, possibility of loneliness or isolation later within your life. So, all of those readings came out of the only astrology book you'll ever need by Joanna Martine Woolfolk, just because I really like those descriptions. And this book has been very helpful as I've been learning astrology over the last couple years. So yeah, hopefully you learned a lot about Capricorn. And yeah, I think we're going to end the video here. As always, be kind, stay curious, always speak your truth, and I will see you next time for another video. Stay warm. It's so bitterly cold outside right now. Yeah. Much love, and I'll see you next time. Bye.